This is the true story of Jumbo the Elephant and Grand Trunk Railway Locomotive number 88, based on verified historical records from the Grand Trunk Railway, the City of St. Thomas Archives, Maclean's magazine, Canada's History magazine, and contemporary 1885 newspaper accounts. All dates, specifications, and events, including the contents of Jumbo's stomach, have been fact-checked against primary sources. September 15, 1885. St. Thomas, Ontario. Just after 9:30 at night. A freight train is barreling west through a railway yard, Grand Trunk Locomotive number 80. 8. Engineer William Barnum at the throttle. Standard run, nothing unusual, until the headlamp catches something impossible up ahead on the main line. An elephant, not just any elephant, the most famous animal on Earth, bigger than any creature most Canadians had ever seen in person, 11 feet tall, 6 tons of muscle and bone, and in that split second, trapped between a steep embankment on one side and a parked circus train on the other, it has absolutely nowhere to go. Barnum slams the brakes, men on the boxcars spin the hand wheels. Metal screams, sparks fly. But there's no such thing as stopping 6,000 feet of freight train on a dime, not in 1885, not ever. The locomotive hits. 10 minutes later, the most beloved animal in the Western world is dead on the tracks. And when they open him up the next morning to figure out what went wrong, they find something in his stomach that nobody was expecting. Something that tells you everything you need to know about fame, exploitation, and what we do to the things we claim to love. This is the story of Jumbo, the elephant that made the word jumbo a word, the animal 20 million people paid to see, and the train that killed him in front of a horrified crowd in a small Canadian town that's never forgotten what happened that night. If you've ever wondered where the word jumbo came from, or why this story is way darker than anyone tells you, subscribe right now, because what they found inside this elephant is genuinely disturbing. To understand how a 6-ton elephant ended up dying on a railway track in Ontario, you have to go back to 1860. Sudan, a baby elephant maybe 6 months old, watching his mother get killed by poachers. The calf is captured, sold, shipped to Paris, transferred to London in 1865. And for the next 17 years, Jumbo lives at the London Zoo. He becomes a sensation. Over 1 million children ride on his back. Winston Churchill rides him. The children of Queen Victoria ride him. He's gentle, he's massive, he's Britain's elephant, a national treasure. But behind the scenes, Jumbo is falling apart. His handler, a man named Matthew Scott, keeps him docile by feeding him whiskey, beer, whatever it takes to calm him down, because Jumbo is starting to show aggression, breaking his tusks, grinding them down against the stone walls of his enclosure. And the zoo's superintendent, Abraham Bartlett, knows it's only a matter of time before something catastrophic happens. So in 1882, Bartlett does the unthinkable. He sells Jumbo to an American, not just any American, Phineas Taylor Barnum. P.T. Barnum, the greatest showman on earth, owner of the biggest circus in the world. The British public loses its mind. 100,000 schoolchildren write to Queen Victoria, begging her to stop the sale. Protests erupt. Lawsuits are filed. The Daily Telegraph offers to buy Jumbo back at any price. Barnum doesn't care. He knows what he's got. On April 9th, 1882, Jumbo arrives in New York Harbor. Thousands of people line the docks just to see him unloaded. And Barnum, in typical Barnum fashion, makes back his $10,000 investment in 3 weeks. For the next 3 years, Jumbo is the backbone of Barnum and Bailey's circus. Everywhere he goes, crowds follow, not hundreds, thousands. In one season alone, he brings in $1.75 million, a staggering sum in 1885. People don't just want to see Jumbo, they want to touch him, ride him, be near him. He's advertised as the largest elephant ever in captivity. Whether that's true, Doesn't matter, Barnum makes it true. May 17th, 1884. Jumbo is one of 21 elephants Barnum parades across the newly built Brooklyn Bridge to prove it won't collapse. It's a publicity stunt. It works. Headlines everywhere. July 6th, 1885. Jumbo makes his first appearance in Canada, St. John, New Brunswick. Massive crowds. The circus is crisscrossing North America by rail now, moving from town to town in specially built train cars. Well, and here's where the logistics start to matter. St. Thomas, Ontario is a railway hub. Multiple lines converge there. It's the perfect stop for a travelling circus because you can load and unload quickly, get the animals on and off the trains, pack up the big top, and be gone by morning. September 15th, 1885, the circus plays St. Thomas. The show goes well. The elephants, all 29 of them, finish their military drill act halfway through the performance. Standard procedure, get them off the lot and into their train cars as fast as possible so they're not in the way during teardown. Jumbo and Tom Thumb, a smaller trick elephant, are the last two. They close the act. After the final bow, their handler, Matthew Scott, leads them down the main railway line toward their boxcar. It's dark, it's late, but the tracks run right through the yard, and then, from behind them, a whistle screams. Grand Trunk Railway Special Freight number 151. Engineer William Burnip, locomotive number 88, coming fast. The moment Burnip sees the elephants on the track, he does everything right. Whistle, brakes, reverse the engine, but physics doesn't care. 6,000 feet of freight train, 12,000 tons. You don't stop that in 100 yards. You don't stop it in 200. Tom Thumb, the smaller elephant, panics, runs. The locomotive's cowcatcher scoops him up like a toy and flings him down the embankment. His leg breaks. He screams, but he lives. Jumbo has a choice. There's an embankment on one side, steep. He's terrified of slopes, always has been. On the other side is the parked circus train. No room. Witnesses later say he tried to run, tried to outpace the train. For a few seconds, it almost looked like he might make it. He didn't. Locomotive number 88 catches him from behind, crushes his hind legs, drives him forward. His skull fractures against the rail. The impact derails the engine and one boxcar. It takes 150 men with ropes, crowbars and levers to move the body off the tracks. They roll it down the embankment. When it settles at the bottom, Jumbo's legs, stiff and locked, hold the carcass upright, leaning against the slope like a child's toy. For 2 days the body stays there. The townspeople of St. Thomas charge 5 cents admission to see it. Souvenir hunters chip slivers off the tusks and sell them. Newspaper reporters swarm. P.T. Barnum, always the showman, immediately spins a story. Jumbo died a hero. He saw the train coming for Tom Thumb and threw himself in the way to save the smaller elephant. Eyewitnesses say that's not what happened. But Barnum's version is better, so that's the one that spreads. And then the taxidermists arrive. What they found inside Jumbo when they opened him up is one of the strangest details in circus history. Stay with me. September 17th, 1885. Barnum's personal taxidermists, sent up from the United States, begin the work of skinning Jumbo. 6 local butchers are hired to cut up the meat. The internal organs are burned in a massive pyre. 4 cords of wood. The smell of roasting elephant drifts through St. Thomas for hours. And then they open the stomach. What they find is horrifying. A hat full of English pennies, gold coins, silver coins, stones, a bunch of keys, lead seals from railway freight cars, trinkets made of glass and metal, screws, rivets, pieces of wire, and a police whistle. This is what Jumbo had been swallowing for years. All those children who rode him at the London Zoo, all those crowds in America feeding him, throwing things, and Jumbo, either out of curiosity, boredom, or something broken inside him, eating it all. The taxidermists work for days. The hide is stretched over a wooden frame. The skeleton is separated and cleaned. Barnum, ever the businessman, sees opportunity in everything. The elephant grease, rendered from the fat, is bottled and sold as a cure for aches and pains. The Daily Times in St. Thomas prints hastily made jumbo memorial tablets and sells them as souvenirs. Engineer William Burnip, the man who was at the throttle, fashions a small tin elephant and mounts it over the headlight of locomotive number 88. He keeps it there for the rest of his career. In 1906, he dies in the San Francisco earthquake. Jumbo's mounted hide tours with the circus for 2 more years. Then it's donated to Tufts University, where Barnum is a trustee. Students rub the trunk for luck. Generations pass. In April 1975, the museum burns down, where Jumbo's hide is destroyed. His ashes are collected and placed in a 14-ounce Peter Pan crunchy peanut butter jar. It sits in the office of the Tufts athletic director. To this day, his skeleton is still on display at the American Museum of Natural History in New York. His tail is in an archive box at Tufts. And in St. Thomas, Ontario, on the 100th anniversary of his death, the city erects a life-size statue of Jumbo, 38 tons of concrete and steel. A monument to the most famous animal that ever died on Canadian soil. There's a word in the English language that didn't mean what it means now before 1882. That word is jumbo. Jumbo jet, jumbo shrimp, jumbotron. Jumbo-sized anything. All of it traces back to an elephant born in Sudan in 1860, sold to a Parisian zoo, transferred to London, beloved by 1 million children, sold to an American showman for $10,000, paraded in front of 20 million people, and killed by a freight train in a Canadian railway yard on a Tuesday night in September. The word comes from the Swahili jambo, meaning hello, or jumba, meaning chief. Either way, P.T. Barnum turned that name into a brand, a spectacle, a mythology. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Jumbo spent his entire life in captivity, captured as an infant after his mother was murdered, shipped across oceans, locked in enclosures, fed whiskey to keep him calm, paraded in front of crowds who paid to gawk. And when he died, crushed by a train he never saw coming, his body was carved up, bottled, mounted, and sold. Even in death, he was still performing. St. Thomas still celebrates him. Tufts University still uses him as a mascot. His name is still synonymous with big. But the real story, and the one underneath all the mythology, is about what happens when you take something wild and beautiful and turn it into a commodity. Jumbo never had a choice in any of it. Not in Paris, not in London, not with Barnum, not on that railway track. What we found in his stomach, the coins, the keys, the police whistle, those weren't accidents. They were symptoms, signs of an animal trying to fill a void no one was paying attention to. And when locomotive number 88 hit him that night, it wasn't just an elephant that died. It was the illusion that any of this was okay. If this story made you think differently about circuses, animals, or the cost of entertainment, subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment. Did you know where the word jumbo came from? Most people don't. Let's fix that.